I suggested that today we talk about pricing luxury homes. When I teach, I get lots of questions about how do you price luxury property, right? Because it's more of an art than a science, right? Everybody wants to focus on dollar per square foot, but tell me what you think about that, Jack, as we just kind of get started there.
Well, yeah, I think I actually met with an agent yesterday from the Denver market who was visiting Nashville. We talked about that a little bit. And, one of the things I think that's one of the toughest transitions when agents are first kind of entering the luxury home market is getting away from that model of doing the quote comps for the neighborhood, so to speak. Because it's not like a typical, tract neighborhood where you can say, simply here's our range, this house is in the middle of the range, therefore this is your price. There's a lot more that goes into it. And oftentimes the types of properties that we would be pricing for the luxury home market may not be in a traditional neighborhood at all. And then, as you mentioned before the podcast, beyond that, some of the homes that we look at have such unique features that are very unique to that particular home that you won't find perhaps another home that's sold in the last year or last 5 years even that has that particular feature. And it's a very dominant feature of the home that impacts value. So all these things make it much more of an art, I think, than a science.
You bet. And there may not be any other homes that have that kind of thing. So sticking with that dollar per square foot, even or lot size or any of that, just it doesn't make sense. And you think about the luxury seller who's super proud of their property, and they say, well, there aren't any homes that are comparable to mine, and they're in a lot of cases right. So you mentioned like one dominant feature that can come into play, but sometimes it's a whole host of um, uh, construction quality and materials and unique features all the way through. Do you find that to be true in your market?
Well, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, oftentimes we'll go on a listing appointment and the seller will say, so, I think this is where I think it's common for most sellers. What do you think my home is worth? We never go to a listing appointment with an idea in mind of what we think that home is worth. And I tell sellers, I think, first of all, I think it would be insulting for me to come to your home, presuming I've never been there before, not like a
Hmm.
past client, but to go to a home I've never been to before with a price in mind of how we're going to, market this home. Because each home is so unique in the luxury home market that you really need to touch and feel and tour the home and look at all of these features that that particular home has before you can even think about the pricing piece. So I think it's very important to really understand what that home has to offer. And so a lot of times rather, I'll ask sellers, hey, as you're giving me a tour of the home, obviously I can see is the things that you can touch and feel throughout the property. But if there are things that I may not notice or a buyer may not notice, tell me about those as we're touring your home, because some of these things impact value. And without you sharing with me, we won't know how to factor that in. So I like for them to tell me about the things that were particularly, customized features as they were building the home, perhaps.
That's a great point because there's a lot of things, especially environmentally friendly and smart technology features that we can't
Absolutely.
see walking through. But it made me think of, as you were talking about that, it made me think of a home once that had flooring that was salvaged from a sunken Spanish galleon,
Oh, wow.
right? So how in the world are you going to factor that in when you're comparing it with ceramic tile or hardwood or any of that sort of thing? But you're right, you have to ask about those features because we can't necessarily tell. And are they going to get $100,000 more because it's flooring from a sunken Spanish galleon? Probably not. But is it gonna play into the overall desirability and features?